Oh, whoops. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Karen?
Good, good. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen, the Plant Power Coach, and I'm going to introduce you to Lisa here, who's one of my fabulous clients who has been through my 12-week Plant Power Transformation program, and she's had amazing results. So I thought we'd do a little bit of an interview and just see how she went. So to start with, Lisa, just talk to me about, I guess, what your diet was probably like before you started working with me, just as a summary.
Yeah, it was I probably wouldn't call it any kind. It was just I ate what I want when I wanted and wasn't too regimented about anything in particular. So I wouldn't say I had a particular way of eating. It was just if I wanted it, I ate it, and if I didn't, I didn't. So
yeah,
everything and anything really.
Yeah. But I'm probably pretty much, standard Western, fairly healthy.
Yeah. Not really bad, but not really good either.
Yeah.
Probably OD'd on coffee, loved bread, would do takeout a lot, love a good cheese board. So just a normal diet really.
Yeah, cool. And what was the big pain point for you that had you looking at my program and why you wanted to sign up?
For me, it was a little bit of I was going into the next phase of my life with the beautiful menopause. I think also with our current year or last year with COVID, I was home a lot. I was eating, I knew I was putting weight on. I probably wasn't nurturing myself enough. So, and I think with the way my body was going, I was like, I want to look at doing things right before I look at putting things in my body to manage how I'm feeling. So that was probably the driver, to be honest with you, of what can I do with food rather than just go to a doctor and get something to fix it.
I love that because I totally believe in fueling the body before reaching for things like medications too.
Yeah.
And so when you started the program, what were your goals? What was it you were really trying to achieve here?
I think for me, it was great that weight loss was kind of there, but it wasn't the main driver, which is probably a good thing. For me, it was about being able to work with my body to go through the next phase of my life. But so the goal would be to, some of the symptoms I was having was not being able to sleep. I was restless. I felt sluggish. I didn't feel the best part of myself. So for me, my goals were more around about seeing if I could change those to optimize how I was feeling or how I felt in the past, but being realistic that age is a process that's happening whether I like it or not. So working with it rather than against it.
Beautiful. And how did you find the whole experience on the program? What sort of shifts did you start to see in your body?
Yeah, okay. So the shifts that I started to see, and look, I was nervous there's a helicopter going over, sorry. I was nervous at first. I'm not a great cook. I probably get a little bit overwhelmed with those sorts of things. Yeah. So for me, sorry, what was that question again? I just
your whole experience. But I love the fact that you started with being nervous about about cooking, because I do remember you telling me that.
Yeah. So the experience for me, although there was bits to process, it was actually a staggered approach. So I feel like anything that I was a bit nervous about or apprehensive about, you just kind of drip feed what you need when you need it, and you build your knowledge bank. So I think for me, that was probably one of the things that was quite good in that sense, because I was nervous about all those things. But you kind of, if you don't try it, you'll never know. So it was kind of like I'll just walk through it and see what happens. And I think having you there and going through things, if they did come up, you could kind of talk through it anyway. So I think that was one of the good things for me about it.
Brilliant. Yeah. And what sort of what did you experience within your body? What sort of changes did you experience in the end?
It was interesting because, you know, dare I say it, bathroom habits change. My skin changed.
Yeah, talk about that. Like,
yeah. I feel like, you know, I probably tried to always look after my skin and things like that. But, you know, I was blaming COVID for how it was starting to look and not seeing sunlight. But I think it was a combination, because now that I have changed the diet, my skin's bounced back. And yes, we've been able to go outside and things, but I saw that change before I was allowed to go outside again. So, you know, my sleeping improved. I wasn't as tired. And I overall just felt better in myself. I didn't feel that sluggishness now, and I have a massive sweet tooth. Like I love food. So for me, I think the fact that I wasn't driving for those, I didn't find it hard to let go of those things. So I was probably a little bit shocked that I wasn't yearning the chocolate, or I wasn't yearning the stuff that I thought that would be really hard. Yeah, so, and I think I was shocked about that, because I thought, oh, I'll just, you know, dabble here and dabble there, it'll be okay. But I actually found I didn't want to, or I didn't want it, I didn't need it.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you find cooking going, given you
I was nervous about that. That was probably me and the kitchen we don't love each other. I'm not going to win someone's heart with my cooking, that's for sure. But I think for me, the cooking part of it, I need a recipe. I need to be told what to do. I'm not creative with it. So the guides and the recipes we had were really quite, they were simple, they were easy to follow. If I messed one up, it wasn't that it was unedible, it just was, I need to work on it a bit. But in all honesty, that wasn't a pressure point that was a pressure point for success or failure there for me. It was more, I still now enjoy going to my greengrocer every week, and I look forward to it. And I know the recipes now, and I'm starting to dabble in a little bit of, you know, inspo and throwing things in and playing around a bit. I mean, and I wouldn't go to the grocery store without a list.
Yep.
And I went without a list, I think it was earlier this week. And I just grabbed what my staples that I thought I would need. And I came back and I had ingredients for 3 things. So I've already changed that mindset of fear, because I was like, oh, I'll just get what I know and see what I can make. And I was able to make what I wanted. So I feel like I'll never be, you know, I don't know, who's a good cook? I'll never be some fantastic Nigella. But again, I've got, you know, I've got a vegan cookbook now that it does have a lot of oils in it, but I'm starting to use the recipes and play around with it to see how I go. So I feel like I actually feel like I've come a really long way in that space.
Yeah, I feel like you have too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you kept making the Mexican summer soup. And I remember I'd only had that a couple of times myself, and it just sort of kept prompting me to go and make it again. It's like, oh, why didn't I make this again so many more times? It's so delicious. So
yeah. Even with that though, I made it this week, but I didn't put as much water in it, so it wasn't a soup. It was more of a rice and bean dish.
That's really good too. I've done
and
that.
I loved it. I was like, oh, maybe I'm getting a bit better, but like I'm not scared to play around. I don't see it. I think I saw it before as a bit of a fail that I couldn't, but now I kind of, well, no one has to know if I don't tell them, but I'm happy to do that now and explore with it. So, but I'm more confident.
That's brilliant. Good. And what were your results like in the end? Like, I know you lost a fair amount of weight.
Yeah.
Program. So what?
I've lost around 9, which was awesome, but it wasn't the driver, but it was a good result. But I think for me, I lost about 24 to 26 centimeters body mass. That probably blew my mind, because I've probably gone away from the scales more so as I've gotten older, because scales can sort of mess with your head a little bit. But measurements kind of tell the true story. I was more blown away with my measurements than the weight.
Yeah, and I can see it so much in your face from when we started.
Yeah. I was a little bit of a, I don't know, what would I say, a bit of a puff pastry. But my face was fuller, and but I found the measurements more of a I was more shocked by those, to be honest, because I literally shrank.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, great. And how are you feeling now, basically? And how are you feeling now? Are you feeling more energized? And
yeah. I think for me, Christmas has been it's probably been one where I've gone, you know what, just relax with it. Don't overcomplicate it. Everyone will have their things, but be kind to yourself and just go with it. And I think with Christmas, my body started to react again. But probably what the good thing is now, I've started back and I know what I need to do. And I was starting to not sleep again, and I was starting to a few little things that had from the past had started to creep in. And as soon as I've gotten back on track, I'm sleeping again. So, and all those things that were initial, they didn't take long to fix because I've rectified it quicker than I would have in the past.
Yeah.
But I'm equipped now.
Yeah. You've got the tools now, and you know what the levers are that you can pull.
Yeah. And I think before, when I've tried to do things, I would call them fads, and you do them, and I was a bit, I fell off. I'm an all or nothing girl, good part of the personality, but also my own worst enemy. In that sense, I am an all, or there's nothing. But with this, it's different, because I feel like I've been empowered with the knowledge to be able to adapt, and then I make a conscious choice whether I do that. So it's all about that accountability and ownership. If I choose not to do it, then that's on me, because I've proven I do know what I need to do to get back on track.
Yeah, and how did you find it, knowing that, there were some rules and some guidelines, I call them, because I think rules are things that you mustn't, they're black and white. Guidelines are like, here are the guidelines as to what's going to work for you, and you get to choose, how far you want to take it. So there's no right and there's no wrong. There's no, I've fallen off track, I need to start from day one. So how did you find sort of flipping that mindset during the program, given you have been in the past that sort of all or nothing person?
Yeah, I think that was on one of my goals as well, for the sense of that all or nothing. That was one of my things that I had to work through. You know what? Once I knew what I had to do and I was confident with it, I was almost okay to let it go, because I knew how to fix it quite quickly. And I think because I've gone through and know the signs now, you kind of go, oh, actually, shit, I don't want to go back there. I didn't like it there. So it was quicker to course correct as well. And I wouldn't say I'm the master of it, or I'm all over it to a T. I'm still navigating the space, but I've got the tools to refer back to tap into it if I need. I also have your number, so
you do.
so I think it's really about the conscious choice and owning your behavior, and owning and being accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
Because someone can tell you to do something, and you can coach us any way you want, but ultimately we make the decision what we do. And when you own that and feel like you can call back on that stuff to recourse correct, it's actually, I find it really exciting. Like, I'm really happy now, and I feel like I can do a really big shift in the next 12 months as well. But again, I think it depends what your drivers are and what your levers are that you need, and where you are in your life. It's like, I've tried a few different things. I've tried things in the past, but I've fallen off. Whereas this time I actually kind of go, I actually won't fall off because I'm too equipped to not be able to navigate it.
I love that. I do. And being a trainer yourself, I imagine that's what you are training other people to be like. You're making sure that the information that they get is empowering them to be able to make their decisions and stay on track in future. So that's exactly.
And you only can take on what you're ready to take on. So I think if I went back and reviewed some of this stuff and looked at some of the content, I would learn and take on something else, because there's so much information. You can only absorb what you're ready to go with. And it's a lot. It's a life skill. It's not a moment in time.
Absolutely. So I'm really glad you feel like you're equipped now, because that I guess is what I'm aiming to set people up for by the end of the program, is to make sure that they've got the tools and they know what they're doing now. What were some of the other key takeouts or lessons that you think you came away with as a result?
I think we talked about one day, we were talking, I can't remember what brought it up, but I was talking about how sometimes we skip over things and you have to move through them to get to the other side. So it's almost like we want to get somewhere and we see the destination, but we don't go through the mud, so to speak, to get there. And because we do that, we probably rip ourselves off of the learning. So for me, it was moving through that and really committing to doing it. I think the discipline. The other thing that I'm doing, I journal every day. Like, I started with a line. I was like, I'm really journaling. Really, am I going to do this? And then it got to a little paragraph, and now I have a book that every day is a full page. And even if I don't journal, if I'm really buggered, I might do I might write, I'm too tired, but it is what it is. And then that's what I write. But, and I think with that, at the end of each page, I always wish myself a good night's sleep, or I say, I write something, some people will say it's corny, but I might say, be kind to yourself, or, I acknowledge something good. I did find at first I only wrote the good stuff, but as I've gotten more confident, I probably write some of the shitty stuff as well, because we don't live in Disneyland, because I want it to be a real journal, not just full of fluff.
Absolutely. It's a way to work through those emotions, isn't it?
And meditation, I've been doing it. I'm not as good at that. I'm really good when I have fortnightly group sessions where I meditate, and I do some yin where I do some meditation afterwards, but it's not something that I've mastered the art of just going, right now I'm going to meditate for 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is. But in saying that, I kind of go, maybe I'm not ready for that. I've got the journaling nailed. So just keep plugging away with that, and I'll get there when that part's ready. Because I also think sometimes we set ourselves up to do so much at one time, and because we can't do so much at one time, we drop everything. And that's that part where I go, you take what you're ready to take and you keep building on it, and that's why it's a continual journey, not a moment in time.
Absolutely.
So
I just want to reiterate here for anyone who's watching, journaling and meditation are not necessarily something that come with the program. These were Lisa's goals that she wanted to set for herself.
Oh, yes. yes,
just helped
yes.
her work through what she was going through in the program, essentially. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we do a little bit of meditation during the program, but it's
Yeah.
not essential if anybody's worried about that. Or
Yeah. I think it's what works for you though. Like some people it might be, you know what, I need to go and walk, or I need to, whatever that is.
yeah.
But I think personally I'm on a complete I don't know, I feel like I'm on a bit of a big self-discovery at the moment, and this is just part of it.
Part of it.
So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think you've done an amazing job throughout the program. Yeah, and the learnings. One of the learnings I actually loved you saying during one of the weeks. I think it was probably about week 6 or 7. Was you realised at the end of our session just the power of actually getting together with a coach each week and talking through, you know, what's been going well, what you're struggling with, and it made you realize that actually having that conversation each week made you realize how far you'd come from where you've been, like how much you'd learnt, and you know how different your struggles were now, or the wins that you were getting compared to when you first started. That for me was you know, a pretty powerful statement too.
Yeah, I think too it's true, because sometimes it's like anything when you're being coached, until you talk about it and your coach asks you the right questions, until you say it out loud or almost acknowledge it, you just go on with your life.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where the journaling came in, because I live on my own, and you might live with your husband and kids and what have you, but it still doesn't mean that you acknowledge those moments. It's probably even harder because you've got a tribe of people that you're looking after or spending time with. So I think for me, the coaching was really good, because sometimes I had aha moments that if we hadn't have chatted, I would never have realised, and that could have been the gap of why things in the past hadn't worked, because I didn't realise the knowledge within, because it became just something that I did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and stopping to celebrate those little wins.
Yeah,
constantly along the way to make you realise and keep that energy high and the motivation high as well. So good. So, you know, what would you say to anybody who may be struggling at the moment, or maybe even looking at the program and going, oh, I'm not sure? What would you say?
I would just say, if you're struggling, I'd say be kind to yourself, because enough people will give you a hard time anyway. So just be kind to yourself. I'd just say jump in and do it, because everyone will be at different levels at different stages, and any change you make is better than sitting there saying what if. So and again, the things that I thought would be really big challenges for me weren't that big in the big scheme of things. And like I said, when I revisit, I'll still learn more. So you will only take on what you're ready to hear or do, but a small change is better than no change. And doing what you've always done isn't going to give you a different outcome.
Absolutely.
So you've got to do something. So I think it's, you know, you've got to love you first, and you've got to be the best version of you, and you've got to be happy. So I'd say it was probably a good thing to do. A good thing to do.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time today.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure having you in the program. And I look forward to, you know, chatting again to you soon. Like, and
I'm sure you will.
And just, you know, see where you're up to and see what's going on. And
I'm going to work on one of these recipes and supply you with one.
Please do. Yeah. I'll put your name.
I'll just put that out there now.
Yeah, no, I'm going to hold you to it.
Love it. Beautiful. Thanks for all that you did and your time, and probably just your guidance throughout it, because I don't know if I would be where I am right now if I hadn't have had that. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And I'll chat to you again very soon.
No worries. Thanks, Karen. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.